Hello and welcome to Sidequest. This is our weekly video game show here at Geekverse. I'm your host, Dylan Musk, and I have with me the Tunnels, Taylor Field. How are you doing tonight, my friend?
I'm good. That name is from another review that I did not change in time.
Not sure,
But
not surprising, but at the same time, we're talking about Call of Duty Black Ops 6 tonight. A lot of tunnels in that game
hmm
so far,
hmm
so it would have been an odd one to pick, but not it's not inaccurate, I guess.
That's right. But no, I'm good. I'm good. I'm happy to be here. Excited to talk Call of Duty.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun. I'm going to call this a side quest mini because we only have one topic today. It's just Black Ops 6. Not much news out there. Not many other games we've been playing. So we're just going to zone in, get that sniper scope out, and zoom in and talk all about this game. And so it probably won't be the longest episode. But I think to make up for that, I'm planning on doing another little solo recording because I just finished, Taylor, Baldur's Gate 3. I finally beat the game, rolled credits on
Oh,
it.
damn.
And I would love to do a spoiler discussion with Kirkland, but I'm still waiting for him to beat Sea of Stars so we can do that spoiler discussion. That's, I just don't think it's ever going to happen if I wait for him. So we'll see. He loves to play a lot of games, but not beat a lot of games. So I think I might just do a solo episode, talk about my time with the game, talk about some more spoiler things that are fun to talk about. So hopefully I can have time to record that this week and can get that episode out that week or this week as well. So you have two kind of shorter episodes to kind of equal one regular side quest this week. If not, we'll be back next week with, some more good stuff. So yeah, it's going to be all about Call of Duty today. Let's get right into it. So this has been an interesting time. This is a very historic time in the Call of Duty history. No, not because it's the sixth Black Ops game. We've done that a million times before, but because it's the first Call of Duty game that is going day one into Game Pass. It's the first one post the acquisition, kind of going through and clicking. And so now I'm really just curious to see what the future of the series is going to look like, how this one's going to do, how its numbers are going to look, if they're going to be affected in a negative or positive way from being on the service. But because of it being on Game Pass, it was a welcome time for me to jump back in because I've been out of the series for a while. Don't really want to shell out $90 a year to play this game. I'll play Warzone with you and Travis and Emily, but that's kind of the limit for me. So this is the first time I've jumped in since I think Ghost is the last one that I owned, and therefore the last one that and even that I don't think I played campaign or anything else. I only played it for probably a handful of hours. So it has been a long time since I played a campaign. The last Zombies map, Taylor, I remember playing is the amusement park one, which I didn't own that game, but I think that was Black Ops like 2 or 3 or something. Do you remember that one with like crazy ghosts? There was like Ice Mountain part with like a Yeti or something. There's different amusement park rides. Do you recall that map? Have you played that
No, I
one?
don't. I
Okay,
don't recall
well,
that.
I swear it was Black Ops 3 or 2 or something like that. So it's been a long time since I've been in here. But of course, you haven't missed a beat. You've been around the whole time. So I guess just over the course of the weekend here, what have you been up to? Have you played some zombies, some multiplayer? I know you're playing some Warzone, but other than that, played some campaign. Kind of what have you been up to so far in your first few hours with the game?
So yeah, some zombies and some multiplayer, and I know we have to connect and indulge. That's something I want to do with you. But
Taylor, I sent out the signal over the weekend, and you know what
I know, I
got?
know,
You know what
and
I got? I
I
got
let you
radio
down.
silence.
I let you
Okay,
down. I let you down. Uh,
don't let it happen again. Okay.
no,
Can we
no,
do
definitely
split
not.
screen co-op? Could we do a zombies run on the stream?
I
Is that
don't
still a
think I've
feature all
done.
these years
I
later?
I don't know if that's still a feature.
Let me see if I can find that with a Google here.
I've never been in a situation where I've had I mean Ruben's come over, but I've not been in a situation like, hey, let's break out the split screen zombies. That's just such a World of War
Apparently, it does have that mode, so maybe we can hop in on the
Well,
stream.
yeah, I'll be fantastic. Let's do it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm game. Yeah, so my experience so far has been multiplayer and some zombies. I haven't touched the campaign. I'm not in a rush to touch
Okay.
the campaign. As far as the campaigns go in Call of Duties, I usually just I'm not really there for it.
What's the
I
last
know
one
that.
you played?
Oh, after Modern Warfare 1, probably. Well, the last one I got my toes wet with Modern Warfare 3. And that was kind of
Okay.
cool because the maps are a little bit more open and a little bit more freedom of
Mm,
choice when you're doing different objectives. It
right.
wasn't very linear as previous campaigns have been. So, that being said, have I beaten some campaigns? Yes. There are some Call of Duty campaign storylines that were incredible. There's one with Kit Harington and Kevin
Interesting.
Spacey. I think that was Advanced Warfare. That one was really fun. I really enjoyed that storyline. But I digress. As far as the Black Ops stories go, oh my god, it's just such it goes back to World of War. Like we're talking like what 7, 8 different titles. That's a
Hmm.
storyline that I've not kept up with, but I know a lot of people really do enjoy it and they enjoy the characters. So I just stuck to multiplayer and zombies for the weekend.
Right on. Yeah, I've jumped into all the modes a little bit here. I checked out both the zombies maps. I've played, I guess, four missions of the campaign. The first one or two are really short. So yeah, I've done a little bit of that. And then I played just a few games of multiplayer. And I actually want to jump there first because I have, as I mentioned, been playing Warzone for the last couple of years on and off with you guys. I'm not playing every weekend, but I probably play like, I don't know, a night a month or 2 nights a month if I'm playing a lot in a given month. So I'm keeping my hands on the sticks. I'm keeping up to date with my reaction time, or so I thought. Man, when I went in and played some regular Call of Duty multiplayer that has, instant respawns and small maps where people are spawning, up your ass, I am getting wrecked so far. It has been humbling. This is the first time where I've felt playing a game that like I'm getting old, aren't I? My reaction time is getting worse, with each passing day at this point. Because I feel like in Warzone, I can hold my own. Some games I'm throwing down, getting some good kill counts. We get a lot of wins. And I never feel like I'm just getting totally obliterated. Unless, someone has like all the equipment and I just respawn and only have a pistol or something. Which that situation makes sense. But man, throw me in this regular old Call of Duty reaction time fest and I am outclassed. I am getting absolutely wrecked, and it's pretty demoralizing. Like I don't really think I'm gonna stick with it. So much over the years, like I kind of converted to a first-person shooter player on PC, and coming back to like even though I've been playing Warzone with a controller, the reaction time needed for the regular multiplayer game in Call of Duty feels so much more intense that I'm feeling like, man, I need a mouse and keyboard to be able to keep up in this thing. Since I play like CS has kind of been my first person shooter of choice, or Halo. Halo's still pretty slow and methodical and positioning based that I can still get along fine in Halo Infinite. But man, I'm finding it really difficult to get thrown back in the ring here in a regular multiplayer game. How do you find that relative to like just the comparison of Warzone versus regular Call of Duty multiplayer?
That's been an ongoing dynamic since 2019. So when we have the first Warzone that came out back with the original Modern Warfare, not the original, sorry, the remake
Yeah, yeah.
of Modern Warfare, um, it was great. It was fantastic. I loved it. And then after that came Cold War, and it's again two different game engines, very different dynamics. So I like again I indulge heavily in the multiplayers while we're also doing Warzone. If you guys are online, I'm playing multiplayer. So Cold War was it's very different. Those games feel so much more, and that's again like kind of like similar to like the Black Ops. It just feels more sluggish and different. It's just feels totally different,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where okay, kind of getting those guns that you have in Cold War all of a sudden in Warzone. That's a different dynamic too because they feel and they play different, and that's just been the dynamic ever since. We've had yeah, Cold War, we've had Vanguard, we've had like Modern Warfare 2 now with the release of Warzone 2. This isn't something that I'm unfamiliar with going into it because yeah, it's just playing two different games essentially because Modern Warfare 3 felt like a lot like Modern Warfare 2, and that came out a year after Modern Warfare 2 came out, and now this is the one that came out after that. uh it's tricky though. It's definitely it, there's so much going on when you have, like I said, the guns from the game, and then they're brought over, and they play totally different in Warzone and vice versa. So when there's guns that I really like that are in this game, Black Ops 6, and you're playing with them in Warzone, it's like okay, well then those guns are kind of like they're better here, but then they're toned down in the base game. It's a whole can of worms, and I tip my hat to the devs and the team that actually managed this because I absolutely lose my coconut trying to figure all this out. It's just chaotic. I would hate to be on that editing end of all of that, but to use it and to make it work for me, I can do that. That's totally fine. When I get into the multiplayer, like the big thing that was concerning me was the whole Omni movement
Right.
feature, which so far it's been new to get used to, but I'm not really overly doing it myself. I'm just, yeah, this one's definitely a lot more faster paced,
I actually
but
find the Omni movement, to cut you off, like is very useful in zombies where you're constantly turned your
mm-hmm.
back, or normally your back would be turned to enemies and you're running away, but now you can like kite zombies while moving in all these different directions and keeping your speed up. That's
Mm-hmm.
where I find it's more useful. But yeah, so far in like I guess maybe moments in the campaign, but like I'm not finding that myself. I'm needing to run backwards very often. It's a very
Yeah,
specific thing, but it also feels very natural. So it doesn't even feel. It just feels like it's something that's always been there. It's one of those features that just fits right in.
that's right. And I guess when you look at the like in movements, when you're talking about Warzone, it's a totally different scenario with how we play. It is absolutely, I
Yeah,
wholeheartedly
a lot more
totally different when you
tactical than just straight
a
up
lot
who has the
more.
best reaction time. Usually,
That's right. A lot more tactical and just setting yourself up and just taking your time and being strategic. Whereas there's there's not much strategy, and people might hate me if you're a diehard Call of Duty fan, but there's not a lot when you're playing those multiplayer games. There's reading the room, and
yeah, for
it's
sure.
kind of like I don't know if intuition is the right thing, but it's the equivalent of you get a kill, and even though you have like 25 shots left and a 30 shot mag, you go to reload and then you get killed. It's like that. It's a weird intuition thing
Yeah,
with gaming. And so when you play enough of this Call of Duty multiplayer, you'll just know, like, okay, I'm fighting this way. Okay, around this time the spawns are changing. I'm gonna go back and
right.
just
Yeah.
attack my flank, and then boom, there the guys are coming, and you time it, and you start to get in sync with how the game is
Yeah, a
moving.
big part of that is just recognizing the maps too, and having more
That's right.
time on the maps and getting used to them, figuring them all out. The ones I've played so far have been pretty small, I would say. So I feel like it
Hmm.
is pretty straightforward for the most part. But then there are a couple times where I'm like, man, there are people coming from every single angle. And I'm sure part of that is that now you can, since you can run in every direction, people are probably just running more in general. So people are probably just generally moving faster on like a second to second basis.
Hmm.
So you kind of have to be extra ready, because even if the spawn point is further away than it should be, just because of that kind of thing, people are going to be able to close the distance a lot quicker.
Hmm. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, it's been tricky for me. What do you think of the map so far? What kind of game modes do you normally queue up when you're playing like regular multiplayer?
My default game modes of choice are obviously team deathmatch, domination
Mm-hmm.
mostly just for the XP, leveling up the guns,
Yeah.
and then hard points is another one I really enjoy. That's a really fun one. And then what's the other one that I do? Sometimes I do free for all. I don't normally
Mm.
often do it, but I did a few on this game just to kind of get a feel for it. And I got first on a few of them, so I felt
Nice.
good.
Nice job.
Uh, but
You still got it. I don't, but you still got it.
um, yeah, those are just basically my core ones. And every Call of Duty introduces a few different ones. Black Ops has been pretty good and pretty cool about introducing some. I'm not sure if they had any recently, but there was one called Escort that they did back in Black Ops 3, and that one was just like, oh, it was good. It was so much fun. You basically had this robot, and you had to
Mm.
stand next to him to make him walk, and then you had to
Okay, the
get him
Overwatch
from
payload situation. Yeah,
exactly. And oh,
gotcha.
it was just such a rush. I have to see. I don't think they have anything like that in Black Ops 6, but they do a good job at creating very fun, dynamic game
Mm-hmm.
modes.
Yeah, I was thinking of. I wanted to get a little bit more familiar with the maps, and then maybe try out some search and destroy, because I am such a Counter Strike head now. So obviously that just is that same game mode there, one life, and less frantic because of that. There's not people respawning behind you all the time. So I might like that because that puts more of the focus on tactics instead of just straight up reaction time. So we'll see how that goes. But I also feel like for search and destroy to go well, you got to kind of know the maps kind of back and forth, and there's quite a few of them, so it'd be
Hmm.
hard to do that quickly. But so far the maps are cool. Like I'm gonna struggle with the names to remember some of them, but the one that's kind of like a high rise called like Sky Rise or Skyline or something like that.
Hmm.
That one's like all the maps just visually are stunning, of course. The one kind of in the woods where you're just at, it's almost like a state a little bit, just like the upper section of a state from back in the day.
Hmm.
And that's kind of where the home bases and campaign. So it's cool that they turned that into a level of course. The one that's like, I don't know if it's a bank, but it has like the burrow through the ground, very ground in the middle, and there's kind of the main structure, pool on either side. Probably not a bank if there's a pool outside. But yeah, I don't know the names of any of these maps, but everything I've played so far is cool, well done. And yeah, I think maybe that was my biggest surprise. Maybe it's just the game modes I'm queuing, but all the maps feel pretty small. And I don't know why that is. Probably maybe you would think that they make them one a little bigger if you're having all this crazy running tech in this game, but yeah,
Well,
they just feel small.
I'll have to take a look and see because I know with Modern Warfare 3 they have regular multiplayer, then they got ground war, so they got larger open based
Right.
battles, which is like I'm just gonna throw a number like 30 versus 30,
Yeah.
and then
Okay.
you've got like the 6v6, and some maps are specifically like 4v4. They'll do other game modes that are like 2v2s, 1v1s, and stuff like that. So
Yeah. Other than the Omni movement, is there anything that's new, shiny that you're picking out here in terms of like just new features for Call of Duty, or even just like some quality of life improvements or anything like that?
um I mean, you got your some of your classic kill streaks, and then you got some other kill streaks that are kind of like just new. I have to go through and really unlock a lot more stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I got through I got the custom classes, and so I'm trying to like build and just kind of get a feel for different things. But um, there's not a lot that's really standing out to me that's necessarily new and shiny.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I don't know. Maybe it's something that'll just like appear once I prestige, and then you can get like you have access to so much more stuff at that point. But from right here, right now, yeah, a lot of the stuff just seems to be kind of cut and dry. Like, oh yeah, classic Call of Duty
Mm-hmm.
content that they got incorporated in here. I'm trying to think because ah, yeah, no, I even with the zombies, which we'll talk about later, there's so much that it's funny how much they really pulled from previous Black Ops titles
Right.
and even Modern Warfare 3 zombies. So
Yeah, kind of like to some extent just going back to formula.
that's
I
right.
feel like that's
Yeah.
kind of the cycle at this point. Try some crazy new things for a game or two, and by crazy new things, I mean like slightly weird features. Like they don't
Hmm.
really ever go completely off the wall with Call of Duty, but then they can just cycle back in those classic things because people are going to miss it after a
Hmm.
couple iterations. So, and I think especially for the first one coming back to Game Pass, potentially going to have a wider market to it than like the last couple iterations. I think that's the thing to do. People who are going to be coming back after 10 years of not playing or something, and hit them with the stuff that they're nostalgic for, the stuff that's familiar to them, and then just
Hmm.
make it like really polished, really well done, good new maps, that kind of thing. And I'm sure that's probably like, I don't know if that was really part of the strategy because I'm sure I wonder if they would have started development on this game prior to the acquisition. I don't know. That would, you really have to math that one out. That's pretty tricky to
Yeah.
say, but maybe at least like in the last few couple of years here on development, just kind of zoning in on what they wanted to do with the Xbox strategy of it. So, yeah, how about we take our first break and we'll be right back. Okay, we are back. Maybe I'll shout out some campaign real quick, and then we can talk about
Hmm.
zombies after. So, like I said, I've completed like 3 or 4 missions at this moment, and so obviously it's been a very very long time since I've played any campaign in any of these sorts of games. As you mentioned, the last one that you played was more open, and I think that was the thing that kind of surprised me so far about what I've played is just I really remember back in the day every Call of Duty game very linear, very set piecey. You maybe can like go down up one staircase or down this other tunnel, and like that's the extent of like player choice, and then it always like funnels back into the same place. For the most part, feels very linear in that way. And so far, I'm kind of surprised at like the structure of this, where the first mission is like a very big action set piece thing, cars blowing up, helicopters chasing after you, big running gun. There's not much variety to it, which makes sense. But then everything after that has been a lot more interesting. And so like the first one you go to afterwards, it's kind of this palace sort of thing on next to the water, and they kind of set it up as like you should be going through this in a stealth manner, sneaking up to the rooftop and then grabbing a sniper, taking out a guy on a yacht, and then like trying to sneak out. And I feel like that's kind of the structure for a lot of these levels. It seems like is like do a stealthy sequence to get through some stuff, and then at the end you're gonna get caught, and it's gonna be some big shootout at the end. Like they want that big action moment. But I liked that because I don't remember there is specific stealth missions. I can remember like the snowy one from Modern Warfare 2, or of course the ghillie suit iconic one from COD 4. But I feel like that's usually what they do. They would have a mission or two in there that had more of a stealth focus. Then the rest of the game is that kind of action situation. But yeah, these levels feel a little more open, a little more room to breathe. You can kind of go in all sorts of different directions. You can run and gun if you want, or you can go in quietly. It's kind of that ethos to it. But I think what surprised me even more than that was the level after that. You go to a gala. You walk in the front door. You're impersonating as a journalist. You have your camera, and you can walk around. There's like an auction room with a bunch of crazy statues and paintings. There's the main area with the stage where the president was doing some presentation, and there's all sorts of areas off the side. And like for a half an hour or more, 45 minutes, you're just walking around this gala doing different little tasks. No combat. You don't even have a gun for like most of this mission. I was like, this is cool. I like this. This is something different. Not what I expected from a Call of Duty campaign. And then, as you mentioned, like kind of openness in the structure to it, where you have to get a close-up picture of a certain guy so that you can like make a retina scan of his eye and then get through to the secret base. And like you can go through and do that in a bunch of different ways. Like I snuck into like the coat check area and got a note out of a thing. You can also like go take this picture of this one guy. You can go try and start some shit with the guy's wife and kind of start this diabolical situation. So yeah, just like this openness to how you want to solve these different problems that led into like some fun stealth sequences, and then at the end it was like some big action set piece as well. But yeah, I was really surprised by that. I thought it was really interesting, really cool. I saw some people on Reddit talking about how like this campaign is very Dishonored like. And after playing a couple of missions, I'm like, okay, it's not quite like Dishonored, but I can see that there's a little bit of Hitman, a little bit of Dishonored influence in there in terms of player choice and stealth, and like all these missions kind of have an infiltration and exfiltration. I like that element of it. So yeah, it's been really fun so far. Like, after we're done recording this episode, I don't really foresee myself going back to play a lot of multiplayer. I'll definitely play some zombies here or there, but I think I will continue playing through the campaign, and I don't know how many missions it is, but I could see myself playing through it because the level design is really interesting. Obviously, incredibly beautiful game. The animation, like that's always the thing when you play a Call of Duty game after, if you haven't played for a while, is like, man, the quality of the animations, the visuals, like it's just such an expensive game, and it feels like it. So yeah, I'm really enjoying it. And then kind of in between the missions, you have a safe house that you're going to. You can talk to characters, explore a little bit, solve some mysteries, and then mess around and build out the base. And which I don't remember older Call of Duty games ever having that element either. So I like having kind of a meta progression in between the levels as well. And it looks very much, that's like the estate like level. So it's kind of reminiscent of I guess Modern Warfare 2 that had that iconic level. So yeah, I've been really enjoying it so far. It's really fun. I think you should check it out as well. I think you might enjoy it because you are a stealth guy as well.
Yeah, they incentivize. I mean, their incentive for people like me to play the campaign is they have operators and other
Right.
things that you can unlock for multiplayer use, and that is something that's always kind of pulled and swayed me into playing the campaign in the previous installments because I'm a bit of a hoarder. I like to have operator skins and different like guns
Mm-hmm.
too, some unlockables there. So
Right.
I'll probably dip my toes into it.
Nice. Yeah. And then lastly here is of course the zombies. So there's two zombie maps here. There's Terminus, which is, I don't even know how you describe it, like a military base on an island, I guess is kind of the setting of that one. I don't actually know what the building is, the island, the purpose of the island is. And then the other one is called Liberty Falls, which is kind of a I don't know, suburb town type area where you're kind of climbing up through the streets. So yeah, have you had a chance to check out both these maps, and what do you think? Because it seems like they're kind of going back to, once again, back to formula from the kind of more open world ish zombie things that they've done for the last couple iterations, right?
Yeah, so I only played through Terminus. I didn't touch
Okay.
Liberty Falls yet. Um, and yeah, I enjoyed it, but I think my heart really is attached to the open world zombies that the
Interesting.
Modern
Okay.
Warfare 3 introduced. I think that that was just such a game changer. I loved it, but again, there's lots of similarities between the two. And when you look at the exfil, that's something that was dropped back in Cold War, where you could just exfil out every few
Yeah, can you explain
rounds.
that to me? What would be the purpose of doing that? Because isn't the whole premise of zombies that you try and go as many rounds as you can before you die?
Try and go as many rounds as you can. There's probably at one point I could speak clearly to it, but now I think that the only benefit that there would be to that is you have to exfil out of the map carrying certain things. That's how it was when you were doing Modern Warfare 3 zombies.
Okay.
You have a 30-minute timer, you got the whole map. You can go into harder zones, whatever, but you have to do objectives. And when you do those objectives, then you get certain items that you have to exfil with. And once
Okay.
you exfil with that, then you can move on to the next part. And zombies is just so heavily embedded with Easter eggs and with a
Yeah.
storyline in itself, right? It's got its own little mini campaign. So if I'm correct on that, so don't quote me if I'm not, but uh, you would basically, yeah, you would do the tasks, and then once you complete the tasks, there's no more tasks to do, so you exfil out of there, or you can stay around and get to as many rounds as you want. But
Mm-hmm.
you'd exfil, and then you can go back in and do the next set of objectives. So I
Okay,
ended
so
up
let's say once you do the first exfil, then that would like kick you to like level 2, and then there'd be new exfil, new mission to do the next time you come in. Is that what you're saying?
That's how I interpreted it,
Okay.
and I say that
Interesting.
because with this go around, when I was playing on Terminus, I did the 3 generators. I booted them up, and then I
Yeah.
did a couple other things, and then it was like, okay, my objectives were done now. So now I'm just pack a punching my guns. I'm just surviving, and I didn't fully go everywhere. I was trying to find new areas to explore, and I don't think I wasn't able to get too far. I'm assuming there's a lot more to explore. I just got like a couple perks, and yeah, I was trying to like find some stuff in the mystery box. When you exfil, you don't take the guns with you, which is that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
I believe, and that's something I missed from Modern Warfare 3, because I believe when you exfil, you could take those guns with you, which was pretty nice. They wouldn't be the same like pack-a-punched in that same powerful
Yeah.
level,
Right.
but you could keep the guns that you take. Uh, but yeah, this though, the zombies, it's yeah, they've had a few things that they've introduced, and like I think Black Ops 3 did it, like the bubblegum machines and stuff like that. I've never
Right.
been necessarily a huge fan of that. It's just a bunch of miscellaneous different things, that little perks that are
Mini
time
perks.
sensitive. Yeah, like mini
Yeah.
perks are
Yeah.
time sensitive. I like the classic colas that you get, the
Yeah.
drinks. Those are definitely a classic. But what else was I going to mention there? The I think that this was from Modern Warfare 3, but you have your like supercharged abilities, which is a lot of fun, because there's like go invisible, Aether Shroud, then you have
Mm.
like your like there's attacks. There's a whole bunch of different things you can do, and they're like recharging abilities that you have, and I like those. Those were, as I said, Modern Warfare 3. I don't know if they were in zombies before that, but it's a neat little component, and it really helps to kind of, it's, you're not really a class. There's no classes in Call of Duty, but it makes you feel like you kind of you are a class. And when I should rephrase that. There
But you
are
do have a loadout
classes.
now
You're
too.
building
In
loadouts, yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, which that's from previous zombies as well. You could kind of put specific guns in and build
Not from
your
my era,
loadouts.
but from
No. Yeah,
later.
that was a later one for sure. And so when I say there aren't classes, I mean there are, but I meant in the sense like you don't have like, oh, I'm a tank, oh, I'm this, I'm
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But these abilities that they've implemented is nice, because then you can kind of design yourself to be set up like that. Like you can set your guy up as a healer if you need to be that medic on the team. You can set your guy up as like kind of like the lure, and you can have zombies keep tailing after you while
Right.
your teammates do other things. I just miss though the old school boarding up the windows, because when I pop into a map, it's
Yeah.
like, okay, they're just jumping over little walls. They're just like walking through like the windows. You can't even repair some of the windows now. So it's just, there's a lot of different things going on.
Yeah. I wondered if I was doing something wrong, or if you had to like get materials, because that's another thing they have on some of these maps, are like workbenches where you can build stuff, and I'm like, I don't have time to
Yeah.
build stuff. What are we doing here? But yeah, that's something to get used to. It's just not, it's not the same gameplay loop, and that's where you're missing the open world. I'm missing just like the classic zombie stuff that I'm used to, and this does feel similar to that, but there are subtle differences. I think the exfiltration, as you mentioned there, I think maybe another reason they put that in there is that there is an option for people who don't want to potentially commit to, a 3 hour long run of zombies, because that was not something you could like save and quit midway through a run and then continue. And I don't think they'd want to do that. I don't think that's what they want the purpose to be. They want it to be a one sitting sort of thing.
But they've added that. Did you
Oh, did
notice
they?
that they in Black Ops 6? I didn't try it, but there was a save option for
Okay.
when, so you basically get to a certain round, you could save, and I think this was maybe a single player thing.
Yeah, that would make sense. Yeah.
But you could save, and then you could load back in at the start of that
Hmm.
round and pick up your
Interesting.
progress.
That makes me even more confused than why the exfiltration system kind of exists, because I feel like that would be the purpose, is for people who want maybe a shorter experience with it. But I guess that's just more of like to add a story to it, a more tangible story that gives you some goals for people who I guess are a bit bored, who have like people who have been playing every single one, who might be bored of just survive. Because
Hmm.
I can understand that a little bit. I mean, as you mentioned, there is the Easter egg hunting, which I feel like has always been a big part of zombies. But once again, that might not be for everyone, because it's a very specific thing. You know, look for a tiny little bobblehead in the back corner of a vending machine. You know, not everyone's gonna like find that kind of thing fun. But yeah, like I guess for me, it's been weird, and also just like how I went in multiplayer and get my ass kicked. Similar thing happened with me in zombies, where I start the first round. Within like 10 seconds, there's like 4 or 5 zombies in the building right in front of me. And I'm like, what the hell? Do these guys not bust through doors anymore? I don't even know where I am, and now there's already people like swarming in here at an insane amount. Like that's what kind of surprised me, and like that happened on both maps. Like immediately as you start, there's already zombies in the map coming after you, and I just feel like in general it's a lot faster paced. Like the
Hmm.
windows thing, because you're not boarding up windows the whole time, which is inherently a slow thing, just holding X while you stand next to something. But because you're not waiting for zombies to bust through, it's like you kind of have to assume that they're always around you. They're never gonna let up. And I find too, like the round transitions, there are certain ones where it'll be like when the fog comes in, it's a boss round, against like
Hmm.
the spider bug things, and they kind of set up those rounds a bit. But for the most part, I was like, I don't even know what round I'm on, because it doesn't like pause, blast the number on your screen for 15 seconds and then like fade back into it. Like it's just go 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 go. It never really seems to end. There might be like a small transition, but for the most part I don't even know when one round is turning to the next. It just like happens so seamlessly. So yeah, it's just, I think, going to take some getting used to, and I just got to get better because it just requires a bit more skill, because there's no chill. You just have to go 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 the whole time. So yeah, but it does feel somewhat close to like the old school version of it. Once again, just getting used to all the different shit I can buy, all this bubblegum machine things, and it's a lot. It's a lot to get used to.
It is a lot, and I think when you're playing more Modern Warfare 3 and you have the zombies and the X filling, it's like you do the Easter egg, the objective or whatever, and then it's like it takes like 5 minutes to do, and then it's like, well, now I got to go and exfil and leave the game and then go
Right.
start a new thing just to get into the next, like, do the next objective. It can be really, really annoying. And so I'm hoping that there's a little bit more stuff, sustenance here that's just kind of maybe not been found yet. And maybe this, I just hope that I don't have to exfil after completing the objective and then go back into the map and then do the next
Mm.
set of stuff. That would just be so very much, very annoying. But yeah, I'm with you. You can lose track of what round you're on very easily. I love how it does feel a little bit more open, at least not open like Modern Warfare 3, but open like you're jumping over tables, jumping over fences, you're landing in the
Right.
water in some areas, so you got a little bit of room to work with. Uh, and I'm definitely not a fan of this type of zombies being the round based with the bosses. I think it frustrates me. um, I liked it more. I'm just basically just super biased because I like everything more in Modern Warfare 3. But uh, I think that there are just some things that are just way too over the top. They could have kept it very, very simple. Like the parasites flying around. I get it. That's the equivalent of the Hellhound rounds from back in
Right.
the day, which is
Yep.
fun. That's cool. But yeah, it's as much as it's difficult, it also feels so freaking easy because when heck playing solo and I get my pack a punch gun to level 2 and I'm just kiting around, it's like, man, okay, well this is it. Like it's easy at this point. Well, they are definitely like on your butt right freaking away. I miss how difficult that old school zombies was, where it gets progressively hard faster. The zombies get more health faster, and to get a pack a punch gun, that took a lot of work. It was not a quick deal to do. Even to get like Juggernaut, I got Juggernaut so freaking fast playing on this map, which kind of sucks. I like that challenge a little bit more. And of course, there's pack a punch weapons that have returned, which is always a nice thing. But the workbenches, I didn't really touch upon those. Those came in Black Ops 2, and this was like the very beginning of it. When
Mm.
did you play Black Ops 2 Zombies?
If it had that that amusement park level, then yes. If
Do
not,
you
no, I don't
remember?
think so.
Do you remember Transit by chance? The bus that you could hop on and it would go around. One
No,
of the
never played
best
that one.
freaking zombie maps ever. There was like it was a massive zombie map, and there were 4 locations, and each location you could get to because there's this bus that would drive around. So the bus would pull up to your location, and each one was like a little town. Doors would open, you get on the bus would drive, and zombies would be jumping on the bus. You're boarding up the
Mm,
windows on the bus, and it was freaking
nice.
awesome. You could ride on top of the bus, but if you got off the bus in between each little place, you'd be caught in the smoke, and then these like things would jump on you and like cover your face, and you'd have to like knife them off
Wow.
of you. It was freaking awesome, and so they introduced workbenches here, and the workbench is basically where you could build like a wind turbine, which you get the different parts, you build it at the bench, and basically it's like a fan on a mannequin body, and it creates electricity, and the electricity could open up doors in the map. So this is when they
Hmm.
were really kind of getting their toes wet with buildables at this point.
Yeah, it seemed like I could only build like grenades, equipment, stuff, but maybe I'm
Yes.
sure there is a lot more to it. I just like once again because there's no time to really relax. It's like when am I gonna go build stuff if there's never a break in zombies coming to get me?
Yeah, that's no,
Which
that's
I guess
right.
would make more sense if you're in multiplayer, but I only played solo for both my maps that I checked out.
Yeah, the buildables with like grenades and equipment and stuff like that. That's a newer thing that I don't mind it. The plates, I can't remember which Call of Duty introduced that for zombies. It
Oh,
wasn't
the
one for three,
armor
but
plates.
the armor plates, I like that. I appreciate it. I'm glad that it's not like back in the day, it was 2 hits and you were dead. And I still live and breathe by that rule. If a zombie hits me more than like twice, I'm like, okay, I'm not doing good right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like you gotta always be on your toes, even though you have a health bar and you have a lot of second chances, like a lot. Um, yeah, I definitely, yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm rambling now.
No, it's good. Speaking to the difficulty of it, it's funny. Just like once again, I feel like a lot of this is just I am out of practice with Call of Duty, whereas you haven't missed a beat. I found it really hard. I found both these maps. I checked out both of them, and I found them both really difficult. Partly because, as I mentioned, jumping in and immediately having people right at your throat. Like the intensity, the speed of it is so fast, and maybe for you it feels slower because you've been playing this whole time. But yeah, I don't know. I am finding it quite difficult, so I'm excited to maybe boot up a game with you split screen and see how that goes. You can teach me some of the things I don't understand because there are a lot of things I just don't even look at because I'm like I have no idea what this means. I don't have time to figure out what it means. I'm just gonna stick to the basics here and try and do it. But yeah, that's tricky when a lot of things have changed around. I found Terminus was not my favorite when I checked that one out. I guess I need to play it a couple more times and figure out the layout, but it just felt like I kept opening doors and kept going further and further, and I had no idea how to get back to where I was, and it just felt like such a mess. And I didn't really like doing the generators so much. So I got to try that one again, but it just felt like too big and confusing for me, and maybe that's how all zombies maps feel the first time you do them. But then, adversely, when I was playing Liberty Falls, I really liked that one. One, I really liked the setting of it. It was very different than other zombie settings, like daytime, bright, cheerful kind of. I mean, it's not cheerful, but it's in the middle of a town. You're going through different shops, which I think was cool. I just really like the design of this town. I thought it was really cool. And it was a much smaller and easier to understand map. And I'm sure I haven't explored the whole thing yet, but at least just to like do the first couple objectives was a lot more straightforward for me. So I really enjoyed that one, and I found the layout of it really fun to kite the zombies around. Whereas Terminus as well, I just found like where I eventually died on Terminus was in the mine, and it's so tight and narrow in there that I just got absolutely murked. Like the second I went in there, and that was after I'd already fallen, I think. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I didn't survive too long on Terminus. Just so many tight little corridors and hallways. So I guess I found that one to be a lot harder than Liberty Falls, which was quite a bit more open.
You did solo for both of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. So I definitely want to check out more. Like I said, I'm more incentivized to go kind of master Liberty Falls to some extent because it feels new and fresh. Whereas Terminus, it feels a lot like other maps I've played
Mm-hmm.
in kind of cold, motionless base, nighttime, that kind of thing feels like par for the course for a lot of these zombies maps. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah. Anything else on zombies that we haven't mentioned here,
Ah.
or just the game in general?
um. I can't think of anything else. I mean, yeah, zombies is just zombies is zombies.
Hmm.
I hope that, and usually when they do future zombies maps, they do get progressively better, but sometimes they get progressively just way too overcomplicated and over complex with all the different components that's just happening, and just it's nuts. It's nuts. That's nuts. I think that, and I hope that they would do one of those OG maps and just bring it back. They did it. They've done it a couple times with Shinonuma and Deriz. So I hope that they would just bring back and do like a pack of those OG
Hmm.
maps, because to play those maps with like newer guns and stuff like that is just it's
Mm.
so much fun, and that's what I like. That's why I'm really happy with like one of the Black Ops 1 I think did it. So you they had like Nacta and Toten. They had the perk machines set up in there, and they had all the like the new guns from the game. So
Okay.
it was such a blast. It was like a yeah,
Cool.
it was a cool crossover.
Nice. Yeah, I'm trying to think because on when you boot up the game, of course, now they're making like Call of Duty like the hub sort of thing where you there's all the different Call of Duties that are jammed in there, but it's kind of confusing, right? Because not all of those games that are in that hub of the client that I have downloaded are things that are on Game Pass. So I can see them all there and I can like check which ones I want to install, uninstall, and like, Warzone's of course there no matter what. But then it's like I don't actually know what I really have access to. But off the top of your head, can you think of like are there other Call of Duty games? Because I know they added a couple on Game Pass at some point recently. Like, is there other Call of Duties that have zombies in the roster right now that are on Game Pass? I mean, you
Uh,
own all these games, so you might not even pay attention to this
I'm
kind of
not
thing,
even
but I'm
sure which
curious.
ones they added to Games Pass. I think they added Modern
I think
Warfare
back in like
3.
June or July or something, they added a couple Call of Duty games, but I don't think any of them were a
Uh,
Black Ops game. I could be wrong though.
let's see here. Yeah, they added Modern Warfare 3. They have is World at War on Games Pass? No.
Like
Why
the
is Google
OG.
saying this? Yeah, why is Google saying
That would be
this?
fun. To whip out that classic, the first zombies map.
That would
I
be
still love that one.
sick.
That one's
'Cause-
great because it's like 3 rooms. Like that is simple. you know.
yeah, very freaking very basic, very simple. I wish, man, can I see it here? Xbox. Maybe I'll go on my app here and see if I can look on Games Pass, because now I'm very curious if that is on there. Which I know that they've rebooted all the OG servers.
Mm,
Xbox got them all live. So I think we talked about that on a previous side
right.
quest where we can now get online with
Yeah, I
old
remember my
ones.
last memory of playing World at War was like I think it was later on in World at War's life. Played online zombies game, and there was a hacker in my game, and he
Oh.
just like hacked my account to max level, and I was like, all right, I'm cool with this because I like never really played a lot of multiplayer, but he just like hacked my account and gave me max level. He had like a rainbow like glowing name. It was like this is crazy. What's going on here?
So I put in Call of Duty on Games Pass, and I'm seeing, yeah, just Modern Warfare 3
Okay.
and Black Ops 6.
Okay. Interesting. I thought there was more than that, but that's fine. Maybe they put some bonus goodies in there for people who own the games or something weird like that.
They're probably coming. I'm sure for whatever reason they're
Hmm.
not here yet, but yeah.
Cool. Any final thoughts on Black Ops 6 as a whole?
Um, I'm definitely a fan. This is just a quality of life thing, but I'm definitely a fan of the loading screens in between when you're booting up a multiplayer match. Modern Warfare 1 did this, and you probably remember it, where you see your guy walking forwards and just it's forever just walking forwards, and you got like
Okay.
your squad that's in a game with you walking behind you or beside you. And so a few other Call of Duties have had that, but I really just I enjoy this because when you're booting into a multiplayer game and you just see your main character walking, and then once you load up with your squad, you see everyone else's operators like walking side by side with you. Just it's just a simple quality of life thing that I really appreciate, and it's a dynamic that I really enjoy. In like current Call of Duty, I'm a sucker for the I can't remember what it's called, but it's like your loading screen where you can unlock them when you buy operator packs. You get specific ones, and so it's kind of like one giant wallpaper. You see it all the time when you're booting up Warzone, It has like
Mm-hmm.
3 tips, and you can toggle
Right.
those off, and you see your wallpaper, and so you can get different themed ones and whatnot. And I like that stuff. It's nice to kind of like make it more personable and customized to your experience. So I
Yeah, the
applaud it.
characters that makes sense. I mean, for any first person game, they gotta, and now that skins are just how they make a lot of their money, they gotta find ways to show that to the players as much as possible so that people continue to buy the skins. So yeah, I like the new operator Maya is who I'm rocking, the new one
Mm,
from. You get like a bonus one for her if you beat Terminus, I think, if you do all the objectives. That's who
right.
I've been rocking in this new one so far. But I think that's everything. Unless you have any last final thoughts here, but this was a fun discussion on this game. I'm sure we'll talk about some more after we've played some more zombies and things like that through the stream and whatnot. So thank you everyone for listening. Stay tuned for that potential bonus episode later this week. And yeah, we will see you again next time. Bye bye.